Hello there, welcome to the Marketplace with me, Charles Aite. In this bulletin, we shall be inching closer to, matters regarding petrol prices as they've inched up again this time around, with the market leader, Goil, increasing prices of petroleum products from 6 cedis 35 pesos to 6 cedis 50 pesos. What does this mean? We have an expert to break it all down for us. Also in the bulletin, agreement aimed at securing tariff-free trade and provide a platform for greater economic and cultural cooperation between Ghana and the United Kingdom set to commence this Friday. We'll hear from the Trade and Industry Minister.
October, we'll also start implementing the Ghana-UK interim partnership, trade partnership and investment agreement.
Also ahead of the third mini-fair of the EcoBank JoyNews Habitat Fair, we engage one of the key sponsors, Plant Cities and Extension Project.
Hello, I'm Doreen Nando. You can catch up with all the fun on the Cosmopolitan Mix and on all our shows via podcast. Just go to My Joy Online podcast and search for your favorite show and relive those moments all over again. Only on Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7.
Hello once again, welcome to the program. I'm Charles Aite. We're moving to our very first story, where a new development coming in is that market leader of petroleum products, Goil, has increased its prices on fuel. A liter of both diesel and petrol is now selling at 6 cedis 50 pesos. It was previously 6 cedis 35 pesos, and this 2.36% increase by Goil could force the over 100 oil marketing companies to adjust their prices as well. It means consumers of petrol products have no alternative than to pay a bit more for fuel this time around. Let's get in touch with petroleum expert Suleimana Yusuf on this development and the impact moving forward. We're grateful, Doctor, that you could join us. What do you make of the increment? Kindly unmute so we can hear you better.
Can you hear me?
You're loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon to you and your cherished viewers in Ghana and across the globe. Thank you for having me, Charles. Yeah, so if you look at what is happening, what one will always say that it is very unfortunate, but are we able to, blame the PSPs that Petroleum Services provided? I doubt no, because I believe these things are also not within their control, if I may put it that way. Because if you look at the dynamics that is causing this to happen, I mean, every pundit who has observed this industry for the past couple of months will expect what is happening.
So was it expected, if we could ask that question?
Yes, I think it was expected, Charles. And why am I saying that? If you look at our price build-up categorically in Ghana, we have three components that goes into the price build-up. One of them will be the exchange rates, of course, the taxes, and then the crude oil in the global market. Whatever the crude oil sells in the global market, it will have direct cascading impact at our pumps. And looking closely with on all these three factors, I think none of them is working to the favor of the poor consumer, unfortunately. Exchange rates are largely not stable, of course. Taxes are high on the roof, almost 50% of what the consumer pays at the pump. And then crude oil prices, which are called the wild card in these three categories, is the one that is actually pushing all these dynamics. And unfortunately, Ghana as a country, we don't have control over whatever the global dynamics are going to be. So of course, these three factors are what is accountable for what is happening now. And I think, like I said, every expert or every pundit who monitors the industry will expect nothing but what is happening.
Indeed, oil-producing countries have cut down production as demand goes up for some limited supply. How do we juxtapose this to the deregulation ongoing here in Ghana, looking at the trickle-down effect?
Yeah, okay, so Charles, you are spot on. That's why I'm saying that, among all the three that I enumerated, the global oil price is the wild card. That is what we don't have control over. However, there are other factors that are also accountable for the global oil price, which are called the bullish sentiment. Maybe I'll just explain briefly to the benefit of your cherished listeners. In the oil market, bullish sentiments are those sentiments that will help oil prices to go up. And then the opposite is bearish. So bearish sentiments are those sentiments that will actually cause oil prices to come down. Now, as we speak now, the bullish sentiments are rife and they are high, and they are on high momentum. And there are three categorically as I speak. One of them is the OPEC cut, which you have said it. You are spot on. OPEC cut is one of the bullish sentiment that is keeping the oil price as it is now. The other one is the vibrancy in the Asian economies. They are the main consumers in the global basket, and yet OPEC, what we call Asian economies, they are doing so fine. They are consuming a lot. And the last bullish sentiment is the vaccines rollout, the efficacy nature of the vaccines rollout. Of course, the vaccines rollout will help economies to open up, and yet these vaccine rollouts have been largely efficacious, if I may put it that way, albeit a little bit of ups and downs here. But again, among these three things, Charles, the wild card again is the OPEC cuts. And why is the OPEC cut the wild card? It is a wild card because OPEC is interested in high oil prices. Hitherto, shale patch from US used to be the force that could balance that. Shale patch is also interested in, having high oil prices. So what we are seeing now, I think there's more to come. There's no end in sight. We only have to tighten our belts and look internally what we can do in Ghana.
Speaking of internal solutions, of course, the proposal is on board for governments to review taxes on petroleum products. What do you make of this push currently on these proposals for some tax rebates when it comes to the petroleum sector?
Yeah, I support that 100%, Charles. Even from day one, when we increase the taxes, I call for them to reduce the taxes because the three factors I mentioned, I told you that oil prices, we don't have control. So if you have space, it will be the taxes. So, and then the deregulation policy, if you look clearly at the deregulation policy, a lot of people are thinking that it's not working. But I think it's been paralyzed by the taxes. Why am I saying that? Because about 50% of what the consumer pays at the pump is largely made up of these taxes. And then what I would say is that, Charles, we have to be able to link up our upstream and our downstream closely. That is key. If you quite remember some time ago, one of the components of the taxes within the price bid that we call SPT. When oil prices dropped, that is the bearish sentiment. We quickly introduced this SPT just to cushion us at the upstream side. Now the upstream side is vibrant, excellent. We can gain a lot. Oil is around 80, 78. Why don't you use the upstream side to also cushion the downstream side? Because that's what has to happen, especially if you're a producer and you're also an importer of petroleum product. You don't have any alternative than to link up the two. Use the upstream to cushion the downstream and also use the downstream to cushion the upstream. We have seen the upstream being used to cushion the downstream before, but we are yet to see that we have seen the downstream used to cushion the upstream. We are yet to see the opposite. And I'm saying the upstream is now good, Charles. Oil price is almost at 80. At the last count, I think I can say 78 to 79. So why don't we look at balancing whatever we are going to get from the upstream to cushion the downstream? Because we did that before.
Let's touch a bit longer on the matter of the deregulation policy, because anytime we are experiencing such inch-ups in prices, the question that keeps being asked is the deregulation policy, whether or not it's failed. Looking at the current linkages between the current prices and the deregulation policy, what's your assessment on the intervention so far? Yeah, so I think largely, if you look at everybody seems to have an idea that, everybody seems to have the perception that deregulation is dead. It's not working. But I think it is live and it is working. It is only being paralyzed. And I think we can rejuvenate it. How do we do that, Charles? And how is it being paralyzed? How is it being paralyzed?
It's been paralyzed by the taxes, Charles. Deregulation is paralyzed by the quantum of taxes and levies that we have. We can have about 50% of what the consumer pays at the pump being at the tax, being taxes and levies. That is so high. And so when the oil prices are going up, PSPs, petroleum service providers, they don't have any other alternative than to say deregulation is what they're working. Now, if you ask them, if you ask GOIL, they will tell you that it's deregulation. However, when we are going to the bearish momentum, that is when oil prices are dropping, it looks like consumers are not seeing that, that speed at which the oil prices drop at the pump. And I think NPA, they've started a kind of engagement, which I commend so much at the new leadership of NPA for starting such an engagement, because the perception out there is that deregulation is dead. But I can tell you that deregulation is not dead. It is only paralyzed by the quantum of taxes that we have. So going forward, I think government has to sit down with NPA. Let's review some of the taxes. Some of the taxes are killer taxes. They are nuisance. They have outlived their useful life. And so once we look at them and see what we can take out, to give briefing space. And then lastly, when we do that, we can caution our PSPs, especially when oil prices are stable and then exchange rates are stable. if we reduce the taxes, the PSPs shouldn't increase their premiums too much. I don't like to again cover what the poor consumer would have benefited. But that is very, very controversial, what I'm saying now, because I mean, they'll say that it's deregulation. My fear is only that I don't want it to reduce taxes at the end of the day, and then we have another component, maybe some premium from PSPs, coming up to again nullify what the consumer would have benefited. So I think going forward, the taxes we have to look at it, because I think that has paralyzed deregulation.
Well, just before we let you go, we're having also this discussion, Doctor, on the back of, this debate about the use of electric vehicles. We've seen the impact of, the huge consumption on petrol and, of course, that of diesel by these vehicles that often use them for the combustion of their engines. Where do you come when it comes to the analysis on the use of electric vehicles and the need to inject more policies to attract companies to, roll out electric vehicles in Ghana?
Yeah, so Charles, as an expert, especially where I am coming from, even we, those who are into the oil and gas industry, and we are even producers, we are transitioning. I mean, we are gravitating towards energy transition. Energy transition will come to stay. It will take time anyway. It's not now. It will take decades. So I think if there are policies and programs that we can make possible, to increase the rate at which, EVs come to the scene, it will take time, because when EVs come to the scene, what will happen is that, of course, there will be a massive reduction in the dependence of the world of hydrocarbon. But that also has its negative impact. Assuming at the end of the day, we have shifted everything to EVs. And then what will be our hydrocarbon resources? So I believe in concerted effort, let's say parallel investment. I always believe that energy transition, that's why they call it energy transition. It doesn't have to be a flick of, just a changeover by one day, no. But we have to make effort towards that, because it is coming. All right. And so what I think is, let's make effort. Let's put in programs to make sure that EVs will prepare grounds for EVs in a way. And in fact, that will help our energy transition process. But I think it will still take time anyway.
Dr. Suleiman Yusuf, we're grateful, so grateful that you could join us with an analysis on this development. He's a petroleum expert, helping us with analysis on recent increase in petrol prices at the pumps. But away from that, the Ghana-UK trade agreement is set to begin this Friday, the 1st of October. This was revealed by the Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Tremantin. The agreement aims to secure tariff-free trade and provide a platform for greater economic and cultural cooperation. Speaking at the inauguration of the 6-member governing board of the Ghana Standards Authority, the minister called on the institution to expand Ghana's opportunities in the international market. We have more in this report.
The Ghana-UK Trade Partnership Agreement will support businesses to increase their processes, encourage innovation in the market and create jobs as the country recovers from the ravaging effect of the coronavirus pandemic. The Trades Minister, while announcing the commencement of the agreement, added that other market integration frameworks such as the African Continental Free Trade Area, EU-Ghana Economic Partnership Agreement are already being implemented. He therefore urged the newly inaugurated board of the Ghana Standards Authority to support government's flagship program.
Ghana has signed on to a number of major international trade agreements, including the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, the AfCFTA. We've also started implementing the new Ghana-EU Economic Partnership Agreement, which opens up the entire EU market to Ghana duty-free, quota-free. On the 1st of October, we'll also start implementing the Ghana-UK Interim Partnership, Trade Partnership and Investment Agreement.
Professor Felix Charles Robertson, on behalf of the board members, thanked the President for the confidence reposed in them.
We shall ensure that the strategies and policies agreed by the board are effectively implemented by the Director General and the GSA management team. We shall also establish good corporate governance practices and procedures and promote the highest standards of integrity,
Ghanaian products including bananas, tinned tuna and cocoa will benefit from the tariff-free access to the United Kingdom once the agreement takes effect. Ghana's largest exports to the UK include mineral fuels and oil. Its top imports include textiles, machinery and mechanical appliances and chemical products from the United Kingdom. Christian Yali for Joy Business.
Well, the national coordinator for the SCORE initiative at the International Labour Organization, Samuel Asiedu, is calling on multinationals and financial institutions to support the initiative aimed at helping small and medium enterprises to improve their productivity. The program, which has benefited more than 350 local firms so far, is expected to expand to other parts of the country with necessary support. Samuel Asiedu has been speaking with Joy Business after an engagement with lead buyers in Accra. The SCORE program by the International Labour Organization has been running in Ghana since 2009 with support from the Swiss government and now the German government through the GIZ. The buyers' engagement was aimed at propagating the good news of the initiative and sharing challenges faced by Ghanaian small enterprises with multinational firms in order to get them on board with more support. According to the national coordinator, Samuel Asiedu, this will help expand the program to other areas of the country.
The enterprises also do business with these major organizations, and it is just right to ensure that these enterprises are delivering quality services. And for us to ensure that, we need to actually build the capacity of these enterprises. So lead buyers, not only banks, they could be other multinationals. They could be in the processing sector, they could be in the mining sector, they could be in the service sector, but have a number of actors in their supply chain delivering services. Can subscribe to SCORE for these enterprises just to build their capacity and improve productivity and quality of these enterprises.
Implementing partners for the program, the Management Development and Productivity Institute said that the capacity building training for the beneficiaries has been yielding some results. Here is Deputy Managing Director for the Institute, Bernice Ajay.
It's going very, very well, and there's so many enterprises that are waiting to be part of this training. They really need it. What the awareness that we are creating is that employers must be able to enhance their employees' training so that they can do a better job, and through that the productivity will be increased. I think that we don't connect productivity with training for our workers, but through this people are becoming, in fact, aware of the health and safety issues, the issues, mental health issues and social issues with our workers. And through that, once you've identified all this and also put a plan in place for workers' safety at work, I think productivity is increased.
The initiative is expected to benefit SMEs in all sectors of the economy. Key among findings by the African Center for Economic Transformation, ACET, on the political economy of the national development banks in Ghana is involvement of government on the day-to-day operation affairs of these banks. With ADB and NIB in focus, the research shows that the two banks are still focused on the development agenda of the government. Head of Private Sector Development at ACET, Charles Odum, recommends that the restructuring of the governance arrangement of these development banks could shift the bank's main purpose of impacting the society back into focus.
Senior Director of Research and Advisory at the African Center for Economic Transformation, Dr. Edward Odum, explains that the main rationale behind the research is to propose ways to solve credit and financing problems of financial institutions in Africa. He was speaking during a validation workshop on a research conducted by the African Center for Economic Transformation on the topic, The Political Economy of National Development Banks, ADB and NIB in Perspective. According to him, the research has been conducted to aid in the formulation of policies to further strengthen operations of development banks in Ghana.
From last year, we took on the challenge to engage directly with the private sector to provide a very holistic approach to economic transformation. And so looking at the private sector, we basically are focused on two things: supporting at the policy level and then also directly being involved with SMEs at the micro level. Now, if you look at SMEs, then they come and you do a lot of analysis and assessment, they come with their own myriad of challenges. And one of these challenges is actually access to financing and cheap financing, if I may say so. And so looking at this, we've actually commissioned a number of different studies where we look at how do we de-risk financing into the SME sector.
Head consultant at ASET, Professor Joshua Abo, is optimistic that the Development Bank Act 2020 could realign development banks back to their main purpose.
If you want to look at these institutions as development banks, then we need to look beyond profit making. So performance will not be looked at in terms of profitability, but also in terms of the developmental impact, because from the discussion, we define what development banks are. Development banks are set up to achieve socioeconomic objectives or goals. And so if you are looking at it in terms of making sufficient profit to get you going, and at the same time achieving your developmental objectives or impact, they will say you are really operating as a development bank.
Head of Private Sector Development at ASET, Charles Odum, believes that the restructuring of the governance arrangements of development banks could be a first step in ensuring maximum results are achieved.
By definition, the government has a majority share in the development banks. So there would always be some kind of political interference. The question is, what is the nature of the governance arrangement that allows the development banks to operate within a framework which is developmental oriented? And what we're trying to assess today is to see the extent to which these banks, which have been developed, established over the last 30, 40 years, whether or not the institutional arrangement, the governance arrangement are still fit for.
Of course, you're still watching The Marketplace. Still to come, ahead of the third mini fair of the EcoBank JoyNews Habitat Fair, we engage one of the key sponsors, Cities and Habitats. We have more after this break. Just stay with us.
Hello, I'm JoyNews. You can catch up with all the fun on the Cosmopolitan Mix and on all our shows via podcast. Just go to my Joy Online podcast and search for your favorite show and relive those moments all over again. Only on Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7.
Hello there, you're welcome. Now, you may want to join us at the Junction Mall this weekend, the 2nd and 3rd of October, for the third mini fair of the EcoBank JoyNews Habitat Fair from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. The fair is in partnership with EcoBank and powered by the Plant City Extension Project from Cities and Habitats. Now, it's under the theme Home Ownership to Build or to Buy. Dana Ohene-Edo is project manager for Plant City Extension Project, and he joins us for what to expect ahead of the mini clinics this weekend. We started, with other mini clinics before this one. What has been the feedback so far?
It's been great. We've had a lot of patrons passing through, hundreds of them.
Nice.
We've had scores of them applying, a lot of them to come over to inquire. For some of those who have passed through, we've actually followed up to see the site and to make further inquiries and all of that. It's been good.
So how has the messaging been in terms of you reaching the prospective clients? Has it really sunk down with them, the idea of the Plant City, the rent-to-own initiative?
It's sinking down.
It's sinking down.
It's sinking down. Right. It is novel in our system, so you would expect that a lot of people would ask questions, industry players, several people. But it's interesting, and so far it's sinking very well. It's going quite,
Great. And I believe that with each and every initiative, there are documents you'd have to provide to verify with yourself and other, authorities to ensure this is successful. So for those of us watching currently, what documents would they need to approach the stand this weekend?
Well, if you want to register there, you need an ID.
An ID card.
You need an ID card, your basic personal, details.
All right.
I mean, background details. Essentially, that's what you need. These are the key documents.
And what was the initial deposit?
Initial deposit is 3,000 Ghana cedis. You register,
that's for the rent to own?
That's for the rent to own. Your registration is 499 Ghana cedis, and then your initial deposit is 3,000 Ghana cedis.
And what's the monthly spread?
It depends on the type of property you're doing, whether you're doing land or you're doing 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom, detached or semi-detached, or a villa or villa row.
All right.
So it depends on if you are doing a simple 2-bedroom, semi-detached, silver.
Great.
You'll be doing something like 1,003.
Great.
Ghana cedis a month.
Great. So we should be expecting more of this this weekend at the Junction Mall. But help us with the closing statement and your contacts, so that anyone who will want to reach you could do that very easily.
Yeah, rent to own is great. It is progressive. In fact, the most progressive.
In 30 seconds, yes. The
most progressive, the most affordable, and the most flexible.
So what contact should they, have to reach you out?
Right. So 05555 30300 or 0577911101.
Great. And that's how we end Marketplace. Do make a date this weekend. Many thanks for watching.